All right, so 2.1, functions and their graphs. So remember that we have relations that are any set of ordered pairs. And the domain of that is the x's, the first coordinates, and the range is the y's, or the second coordinates. And then a function is a special kind of relation where your x's don't repeat. We'll talk about that on the next slide. So to start with, they just want you to give the domain and the range. So for domain, you're just going to list the x values, preferably in order, and do not repeat. Do not repeat is absolutely necessary. In order, it depends on who's grading your paper. So I would say put them in order to be safe. All right, for the range, it's going to be your y's. So again, if we put them in order, 6.7, 9.1, 10.7, 13.2, 17.4 would be your y values. All right, so number 2, there's going to be one like this on your test. That's why I included it here. So this says the set of ordered pairs where y is 30. So that means that for the domain, I haven't been given any kind of restriction. So we're going to say all real numbers, so negative infinity to infinity. For the range, though, y is always 30. The easiest way to say that is just do the set of numbers that include 3. All right, so a function is a relation where each value in the domain corresponds to exactly one value in the range. A function can have a y value repeated as long as it does not have an x value repeated. All right, so if you're determining if you have a function, you just look at the x's. If the x's repeat, it's not a function. X's are not allowed to repeat. That's what makes a function. All right, so the x's are 1, 3, 5, 5. The fact that these repeat with different y values means this is not a function. Number 4, you've got 4, 5, 6, 8. That did not repeat, so yes, that is a function. All right, here you've got 3, 7, 15. That is a function, even though those y's repeat. We don't care about the y's. Number 6, you've got 4 go into 6 and then 4 go into 2, so that is not a function. If the x's repeat with different y's, not a function. All right, if we're looking at a graph, the vertical line test will tell us if we have a function or not. So if you draw a vertical line and it can touch in 2 places, that means you have a repeated x value. This x value is going to 2 different y values. So this is not a function. Here, this is a function. When you're asked this on a test, you must draw a vertical line. You can't just say function, not a function. You have to draw at least one vertical line and say function, not a function. All right, so then this would not be a function. This would not be a function. But this would be. All right, so evaluating functions or finding information, they can give you a function in the form of just a set of ordered pairs, or they can give it to you with an equation. They want to know f of 4. That just means come up here. If x is 4, what is y? So if x is 4, y is what? That's what this is asking us. So our answer is 5. Number 8 is saying g of 7. So if x is 7, what is the g of x function? What is y? So same question, but now we have like a little formula to plug it into. So plug 7 in for x. And you get, what, 26? All right, so number 9, they want us to find x if g of x is negative 4. So if y is negative 4, what is x? That's what they want to know. All right, so for the g function, if y is negative 4, that means we want it to equal negative 4. Then we have to solve for x. So we will get that x is negative 3. All right, same thing happening here. They're saying if y is 8, then x is what? they're telling you to look at the f function. So we come up here and we find y is 8. Then our x value is 3. All right, number 11, they want us to do f of 2 minus g of 2. So f of 2 is 6. G of 2, if I go right here and say g of 2, that's going to be 3 times 2 plus 5. So 6 plus 5 is 11. So they're asking us what is 6 minus 11. So negative 5. All right, so number 11, again, they give us two functions. These are both in equation form, so they give us little formulas to use. They just want us to plug in a w. Whatever's in parentheses, that's what you're plugging in. So literally, they just want this f function to now have w's in it. All right, for number 12, they want the g function. They want you to replace the x with a plus 2, and then simplify. All right, now they want us to take the f function and replace the x's, both of them, with x plus h. All right, so if I do x plus h squared, that means I'm doing it times itself. So do all of the distributing and combining like terms. And you have x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. And then distribute this negative, so minus x minus h. So then 3x squared plus 6xh plus 3h squared minus x minus h. And if you had like terms, combine them, but we don't. All right, so then number 14, they want g of x plus 2, which is really what we just did up here with an a, so you could cheat off of yourself, but we'll go ahead and say we're replacing x with x plus 2. So that's g of x plus 2, and then subtract the original function. So we get 4x plus 8 minus 2 minus 4x plus 2. So those would cancel, we just end up with 8. All right, so the difference quotient, this is not on a test, but it will be in Math Excel. And if you can pick up a shortcut at the end, you're welcome to use that. You're actually starting to think about the definition, the limit definition of a derivative, which is a calculus thing. That's what the difference quotient does for us. For now, it's just a bunch of algebra, and they want you to be able to practice, can you do it? All right, so use the difference quotient, use this on this guy. So we're going to take the function and plug in x plus h. So for f of x plus h, we're going to have 3 times x plus h plus 2. Then we want to subtract the function itself, and then all of that over h. All right, so then on top, we're going to distribute in both places, and then combine like terms. So those cancel, those cancel. You're left with 3h over h for just 3. So this is linear, and you really just got the slope as the answer. Okay, because that's what a derivative is. Remember I said that the difference quotient is like the limit definition of a derivative, and a derivative finds the instantaneous slope. It just finds the slope of an equation. So here, the slope of that is 3. Now, if it's not linear, it's a little more complicated. But it's still pretty easy to come up with without doing all of the work if you can figure it out at the end. All right, so using the difference quotient, we're going to plug x plus h in for x. Then we're going to subtract the function itself and put it over h. All right, so I just multiplied this out on the previous slide, so go back if you don't know where this is coming from. And help if I did it right though. Use my h squared. Distribute that 3. Distribute that negative. We're all over h. Now distribute the 5. All right, now when you combine like terms, you should get rid of anything that doesn't have an h. That's generally what happens. So the 5x squareds do cancel, the 3x's cancel. We are left with, I'm going to say 5h squared plus 10xh plus h over h. Should that be a 3h? Yes, I left a 3 off right here. All right, so now since each one of these has an h, we can divide the h out of there. So it'll be 5h plus 10x plus 3. And this h basically took one of those away and knocked all of those off. It's like I factored it out. All right, so now I have this left as my answer. So if you go back and you look at the original, if we do 5 times 2, that gives us 10x. And then you have a 3. And then you're going to have this random extra amount of h's, and it's going to match this leading coefficient. Okay, so if it was, again, for a shortcut on how do you find a derivative, if it said 7x to the third plus 2x, multiply these, so 21x squared is what that one would be. And then you have your 2, and then you would have a 7h. If we had, like, let's say 4x squared plus, or we'll say minus 9x, then multiply these, that's 8x, lose 1, so it's just x to the first, minus 9, and then you'd have a plus 4h. All right, so on the difference quotient ones, if you want to use a shortcut to get the answer in Math Excel, that's fine. Again, it's not on a test. Not that this is difficult, it's just a lot of tedious steps to do this process, but you'll have to do it in calculus if you take that class. All right, I believe that is all. Yes. All right, if you have questions, let me know.